Meeting come to order, we'll have the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Upper Chichester Board of Commissioners meeting, December 14th, 2023. George, can you do roll call? Roll call, please.
Sure. Commissioner Bacco,
Here.
Commissioner Godioso,
Here.
Commissioner Burkowski,
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker,
Here.
Commissioner Neary,
Here.
Michael Pierce,
Here.
Lisa Catania,
Here.
and myself, George Needles, present.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners here will be holding a public hearing to consider the potential projects for the funding may be applied for from Delaware County under the Community Development Block Grant Program for fiscal year 2024. The hearing will begin at 7 p.m. and will be held on Thursday tonight. We're here now, so we will open it up in which direction? Open it up to Lisa Catania, Catania Engineering.
Thank you. Just for record, I'd like to advise that the ad was placed in the Delaware County Daily Times and ran on Monday, November 20th, 2023, Thursday, November 30th, 2023, and Thursday, December 7th, 2023. We are required to advertise once for the Community Development Block Grant. We're here today to talk about 4 projects that have been on the radar through our neighborhood plans, through our planning sessions, the public works meetings, your open space plan, and the various items that we've been talking about over the past 4 or 5 years that are of interest, I believe, to all of the residents within the eligible areas. The first project is it's a paving project in Boothwyn Highlands, which is Spring Mill roadway improvements. That would include milling, base repair, and paving of Spring Mill Road. The second project is a Boothwyn Heights project, which was brought up during the neighborhood plan for Boothwyn Heights. This is a high-level project. It's not one that will be totally funded through the Community Development Block Grant Program. Typically, you're seeing $100,000 to $150,000 projects being awarded, project funding being awarded. This project is the dedication and improvement of Willowbrook Entrance Roadway. This roadway actually intersects the 2 shopping centers that are along Chichester Avenue. The idea would be to create a gateway to have some connectivity between the 2 shopping centers, to include sidewalks, crosswalks for safety and traffic control, and some aesthetics with new streetscape in that area. This project would also include having to negotiate with Berger, who is the owner of the Willowbrook Willowbrook Apartments, as they currently own this piece of roadway. Excelsior Drive Park is a park that has been noted in your open space plan. We do have a rendering of the park. We have applied for 1 entrance area for the Greenways project that Delaware County funds. And this would be to do all of the proposed park improvements. The next one is something that we've just talked about in our public works meeting. on Peach Street, the pedestrian bridge is in need of replacement. In doing that, we would also do stream bank restoration. This is important to connect the neighborhoods across the creek from the fruit streets, as we call them. It also would help us with the new park, the extension of what we're calling the extension of Peach Street Park on a piece of property that was just acquired by the township. In doing the pedestrian bridge, we would see some improved mobility and potentially could design the bridge that if in an emergency, we could get emergency vehicles across. That again is something that we have not truly vetted, but it was discussed at the meeting. Boothwyn Town Center. As everyone's aware, we are doing a project on McKay Avenue with the 2023 Community Development Block Grant with new curbs for drainage. This project would be the Fifth Avenue roadway improvements to do similar, that we would again change the curb, the sidewalks, and potentially some stormwater in that particular road. Mill Road, you'll see on the rendering, is a pedestrian improvement project. It is from, I'm going to say, Chichester Avenue, starts right at Kristen and comes through on what would be the north side of Mill Road with new curb, sidewalk, and driveway aprons. The last one is something that we've discussed in our Twin Oaks neighborhood project, and that's to do traffic calming and some safety, for safety, as well as doing Wayfair signage. So that would include putting an island to do traffic calming with welcome to Twin Oaks. I'm having a tough time saying that tonight. Welcome to Twin Oaks sign in that intersection. That's what we have for projects. We'll certainly answer any questions, George and I, and if anyone has any other projects that you may want us to consider, we'll certainly take those into consideration as well.
We'll take it.
Third word's the only word not on there, so I'll let
Okay.
you consider it.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
For the Peach Street pedestrian bridge replacement on the stream bank restoration, if that was to be approved, I think there was comments about making emergency vehicles, to allow emergency vehicles to pass through it. Would there be some type of a gate up to prevent cut through traffic? Or would it just be for emergency? Would it just be strictly for emergency use?
So what it would look like a pedestrian bridge.
Mhm.
What would happen is we would probably be putting removable bollard so that they would be able to be removed quickly so that vehicles could get through. Again, that has not been fully
Okay.
vetted. What we're worrying about here is the pedestrian side, because right now the bridge is in poor condition.
So the first priority is to make it a pedestrian bridge for
Correct.
them to walk through.
Yes.
And then the Mill Road, I know we talked about that, I think like several years ago, we had talked about trying to get grants to replace sidewalks through along Mill Road. So I'd be interested in that one also.
What part of Mill Road that you're interested in?
Well, I think the intent is the majority of the residents start from Chichester Avenue down. Once you get to the roundabout, you have the park and Willowbrook Apartments there. So the majority of the residents that could take advantage of this would be from Chichester down. I think when we did this, I believe the Bird Dog Park wasn't, well, the bird dog restoration wasn't in our sight at that particular point in time when we talked about trying to get grants for the Mill Road sidewalks.
I mean, I just got a couple questions on that one, only because the township owns the part from Jacqueline and Mill up to the roundabout. So why wouldn't we want that in our CDBG and not the residents? I'm not trying to, I mean, that means every development is going to want sidewalks and curbs through our CDBG.
I think
Well-
the answer to that is we have a plan currently to do a park project at Bergdahl. So to put curb and sidewalk in and then do additional construction there would be probably not
Right, I understand
the
that part.
best.
But I just don't see us using our CDBG for development. That's my
Well,
opinion.
historically, we've used CBD grant money in the second ward to replace curbs and sidewalks and developments and streets
No,
that
they-
people live on.
No, they put it in. There was no sidewalks. there.
No, we replaced them going down Long Chichester Avenue.
That was
we
part of the
did a-
streetscape
yeah.
program.
I know.
Well,
but,
that was
we-
an $800,000 grant.
So we did, so one of the community development block grants was on Johnson Avenue.
Mhm.
And they were really, it's curbing.
Yeah.
Curbing, is in that first section. Yeah.
All right.
So we've done a little bit
Yeah.
all over.
But-
I was gonna say that, these are lots of, several great projects. Unfortunately, we can only select two. And, so there's a nice list of projects on here. We can only select two, a priority and a secondary project. I like the, Peach Street pedestrian, bridge replacement project. I like that one. We just did the whole Mill Road roundabout in the Fifth Ward, so let's, spread it around a little bit. And I like the,
Well, this will be in the fifth ward also.
I know, I understand that,
Okay,
yeah,
all
I
right.
do. I
Okay.
think this is,
No,
it's needed, so I like that.
okay.
And, I like the Twin Oaks improvements. We definitely have speeding through the main streets on Washington, and Broadway, so making improvements to slow down traffic there, I think is good also. I know Ed had the Fifth Avenue, so.
Yeah, I did.
tough one.
No, I just have a question about the Fifth Avenue one. We did the concrete gutter on Galbraith Avenue with the CDBG. Why could we do that instead of curbs on Fifth Avenue to get it down the other end to the one storm drain and have that?
I believe that's what we have for McKay Avenue as well.
Okay.
We're going to be
Well, yeah, the
using the Valley
McKay
curb.
Avenue that we were granted from last year, but for this year. for
No,
20
I
Right.
I see that that's probably the better, because we're not, the gutter, the cross slopes on that roadway are not as high as they probably should be to put regular upright curb in.
Right.
So we're better off with
The
a
gutter.
valley curb.
Right.
Yeah, Ed, just to build on that, in conversations that we had in our project meeting for the town center, anywhere that really is not going to be like a off-street parking for the commercial use area that we're trying to build up, we've talked about most likely that valley curb would be the best option
Right.
because of the lack of stormwater assets as a way to be able to move the water from one place to another. So.
But no, I mean, I'll make my last comment real quick, but I definitely, we've been talking about this for a while, the Peach Street Bridge. And I do like the island and the entrance. I could put Fifth Avenue on hold another year because we still got to get McKay Avenue done. Just put that as maybe a priority for next year. So they're the two I would pick.
Twin Oaks and Peach Street.
Yes.
Okay.
Joe, go ahead.
My concern with the Peach Street is if you want to make it accessible for emergency vehicles, aren't you going to have more costs involved in the substructure to the bridge?
Absolutely, which is why we haven't fully vetted it yet.
Right, and
Yeah.
even just doing the pedestrian bridge, I think you estimated that it might be between $80,000 and $100,000.
About 75,000 was what we were
75.
estimating for the bridge itself. The installation is probably looking at about $150,000 project,
Is that for both bridges or just the
just the one.
one?
Yeah.
There's only one.
So that was my concern with the Peach Street, that if we get the CDBG grant, that's great, but then you're talking about a lot more money to make it strong enough to take an emergency vehicle across it.
Well, absolutely.
Well, if that's too much, I mean, I would still like to try to get a better, a new and improved bridge so people can walk across.
I'm fine with putting one in that's just a pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, but I
but
think that's what we're
if-
agreeing to.
If the long-term plan is to make it so emergency vehicles can use it, then there's no point in investing $150,000 now that in 2 years you're going to say,
I agree with that. If you're gonna do it,
So keep in
do it
mind,
right.
it's typically 2 to 3 years before construction happens. So if that was the case, right, then what we would go back to the board and ask for is to expedite the improvements to Peach Street Park, since we have it on the park plan, and try to work in funding, maybe with the hazard mitigation or something to that effect to fund the bridge. So we would look to compound on that. This would be more like a catalyst starting project. So, it would be part one of the funding to a couple of different sources we would be trying to compile at that time.
so about what do you think it would cost for the Spring Mill project?
I think we're going to be around $100,000 for that project.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's just about the only street that hasn't been done back there, correct?
Yes.
So, and it is because we did all Greenwood last year. So
And what, Spring Mill?
Spring Mill, which once again, it's after tonight, it won't be in my ward. Or January 1st, which is when it takes effect. But I think it's something, those streets back there were sorely neglected for a long time. And I think this is a project that might be good. But from a cost effectiveness thing, if you're just looking at that, then I would say Excelsior and Fifth Street would be your best bets and would fit more in with the overall plan that we've had.
I think it's important that the board understands the schedule for community development block grant. This year, 2023, we did not get, although they were, I think it was the 11th of January, they were due last year, somewhere in early January. We did not get the letter of award until October.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a long period of time before we'll know whether or not we're being awarded. And I don't want to dissuade anybody's decision, but your road program will get done faster than doing a community development block grant.
Right.
Just FYI, I mean, there's the pros and cons to it. Anything that you decide to do has to go through a two-tier process. One is that they have to do an environmental study on it. And then they'll give you the letter saying that you can go ahead and provide the bid package. And then they'll do the bid package review for us to do it. So we're looking at 2025 for some of these projects to be done.
Anybody else have any comments?
I got one thing. The Willowbrook entrance roadway. Now, that road belongs to the apartments.
Does.
Are they gonna chip in with the project, or if not, why are we eating it?
That's a very big lift project. It's probably not going to be able to happen through community development block grant. However, it is in an area that qualifies.
That's an answer. Down.
That's it. So, is it the pedestrian bridge that we're favoring, even though it's, I mean, the only question that, Mike, you made a comment about vehicles going through there. Where would the gate go if you have a pedestrian there now? Is that, you're going to leave it open?
It has to be ADA accessible,
Right.
right? So what we have found is that if you put bollards in to remove them, then at that point, we can have this, you'll restrict the vehicular crossing,
Right.
right? But you'll allow for a 5-foot area for a wheelchair.
I mean,
So how wide is this pedestrian bridge compared to a vehicle?
Right now, it hasn't been designed to give you that information.
Yeah,
Probably
that's what
8
she
foot
said,
wide.
it hasn't been fully
Hmm.
vetted yet.
Probably 8 foot wide is what I would be expecting.
None of these projects have construction plan details to them.
Right.
They're conceptual of like, here are projects that we had on our list
Right.
that are eligible in the areas. So just not to eat up too much time, but just to kind of to go over some of these as well. So the Boothwyn Highlands project, as Lisa had commented, we most likely will go through 2 cycles of the road program before we would be funding this construction project. So that's, something to weigh. The Boothwyn Heights Willowbrook entrance, it's a heavy lift. It's a large project, would have to be staged over multiple years. Excelsior Drive Park is in the pros plan, and we've already applied for funding for a portion of that park through the Pico Greenways program. Peach Street Park rehabilitation was further down the line as far as years for the park plan. So if we did something like this, we'd have to reevaluate that time frame and say, does that park get pushed in front of other parks? Boothwyn Town Center, obviously that's not a very heavy lift to get that work done. It's something that we could build on a previous project. Mill Road, again, you effectively could build off of the fact that the roundabout was done. There was some work done in the park, so you're building off of that. And then the Twin Oaks intersection improvements, we've done CDBG projects over there. We have the Twin Oaks neighborhood plan passed as well. So there's all things that could make these more desirable projects and things that you could say make them less desirable projects as well. Thank you.
Just, Ed, the only reason why I mentioned the gates is just to touch on what Joe Neary said is, the concern of cut-through traffic. So that was that was one of my concerns also, if we made it strong enough to allow emergency vehicles through, is, put some type of like a gate just to assure that there's not a whole lot of cut-through traffic, but it doesn't sound like we're heading down that road at this particular time.
Well, I think you ought to put it on for the pedestrian part. I mean, it's in disarray. It's somebody's going to get hurt sooner or later, and we've been talking about it. Wouldn't hurt to put it on as a pedestrian only. And the Twin Oaks one can you take a portion of that and just say we're only going to do the signage and the island to try to make the money equal to what everything?
I think it's really good. Right.
Yeah, but between the bridge, you're going to spend that.
One project.
So
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You apply for primary.
Oh, okay. So it's got to be a full amount. Okay.
we were lucky enough to get to it 2 years ago.
Okay. Will we be voting on this tonight, George, or later?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to be clear, what are we deciding on?
So, we could either do I'm thinking the Peach Street, but as George stated, that's something that was further down on our list and hasn't been fully vetted yet. So I think the Mill Road improvements in Twin Oaks.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the Twin Oaks.
What do you think, Ed?
I would do the Peach Street anyway. If you get the opportunity now, because how long is that bridge going to last?
Yeah, and
And then the Twin Oaks.
I'm thinking the stream bank restoration is a big part of that. That's why I was really leaning
Right.
towards Peach because of that. That's going to give you. I think you might get some more points, quote unquote, on the application for doing that credits.
Right.
Yeah. So okay, Peach and
Twin
Oaks.
Oaks. Everybody good? Joe? Peach and Twin Oaks. Okay. All right.
I said, yeah,
Okay.
Mike, you good with them too? Pete, okay. I didn't go to the public now. If there's any public comment out there regarding our hearing we just had for the CDBG and the projects that were put for us. To my left, front row, second row. Take note, no public comment. Need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
all right.
Opposed?